Hello there! If you'll recall from last episode, the Gatewatch and the Renegades have freed the plane of Kaladesh from Tezzeret's tyranny. Although Tezzeret escaped with the core of the planar bridge, the Gatewatch had more pressing matters at hand. Tezzeret's master, the Elder Dragon Planeswalker Nicol Bolas, was hiding out on the plane of Amonkhet, a plane supposedly made by the dragon himself. The Gatewatch, sans their new member Ajani Goldmane, figured that this would be their best shot at Bolas. So while Ajani would search for additional allies, the rest would head for Amonkhet to hopefully catch Bolas by surprise before he had a chance to set his plans in motion. The Gatewatch was going in with no plans and with no information, hoping to kill an Elder Dragon on a mysterious and unfamiliar plane. But that doesn't mean the plane has to be unfamiliar to us. Let's spend some time getting a brief overview, shall we? The plane of Amonkhet is heavily inspired by ancient Egyptian culture and mythology, and consists primarily of an expansive, seemingly endless desert. Just dunes, sandstorms, and wastes as far as the eye can see, with two blazing suns overhead, leaving Amonkhet in perpetual daytime. Full of vicious sandworms, demons, and zombies, it's not exactly a friendly place. However, there is one location on Amonkhet where civilization thrives: the City of Naktamun. Bordered by a mystical barrier called the Hekma, Naktamun stands a gleaming bastion amongst the endless sands. While the Hekma keeps the horrors of the outside world at bay, allowing its citizens to thrive, the great river Luxa flows through the city and provides the people with clean water and bountiful harvests. Home to many races, including humans, Naga, which are people with the heads and lower halves of a snake, Aven, which are winged bird-headed humanoids, Minotaurs, which on most planes are bull-headed humanoids, but on Amonkhet are ram-headed humanoids, and Kenra, which are jackal-headed humanoids, Naktamun is basically a paradise. Its citizens don't even have to work, as all manual labor is performed by the dead. You see, there exists a dark magic on Amonkhet, a sort of curse that permeates the plane to its core. The curse of wandering. Nothing on Amonkhet that dies stays dead. Before long, the fallen will rise, cursed to walk in undeath. Sounds like a paradise for Liliana, no? Anyway, while the curse of wandering has led to the countless zombies roaming the sands outside the protection of the Hekma, those that die within the city are carefully embalmed and mummified so that they can live a second life serving the future generations. Collectively referred to as the Anointed, these mummies perform basically all labor in Naktamun, from harvesting food and quarrying stone, to cooking, cleaning, and caring for children. So, what do the citizens of Naktamun do if all their needs are taken care of for them? Simply put, they train. They train to complete the trials of the gods. Yes, Amonkhet is home to literal gods. 5 of them, in fact, all of whom walk amongst the people and are each a manifestation of a different color of mana. Let's meet them, shall we? Here we have Oketra the True, the cat-headed god of solidarity, Kefnet the Mindful, the ibis-headed god of knowledge, Bontu the Glorified, the crocodile-headed god of ambition, Hazaret the Fervent, the jackal-headed god of zeal, and lastly, Ronus the Indomitable, the snake-headed god of strength. The people of Amonkhet are protected by these benevolent gods and revere them in return. They work for each other in a harmonious blend of mortal and divine. So, as for those trials I mentioned, it is the ultimate goal of everyone in Naktamun to be found worthy of entering a glorious promised afterlife. This is achieved by completing the trials. From a very young age, Naktamun's denizens become acolytes and are separated into groups called crops. These crops effectively become a family, eating together, sleeping together, living together, and most importantly, training together. Each acolyte spends almost every waking hour training their bodies and minds so that they may one day complete the gods' trials. After a time, the ceremony of measurement takes place, where the acolytes' training ends and they are split into 3 groups after being judged by the gods. Most become initiates, who will work to complete the trials. A select few become viziers, who will serve the gods directly by doing things such as training young acolytes or maintaining the Hekma. And the remainder are the unworthy, who've proven themselves unworthy of life in the city, and are culled from the crop and exiled from Naktamun. From there, the initiates and the viziers will each be afforded entrance to the afterlife in their own way. The initiates by completing the trials, and the viziers through a lifetime of service. So, for the initiates, it is then that the trials begin. First, the trial of solidarity, then the trial of knowledge, the trial of strength, the trial of ambition, and lastly, the trial of zeal. Each initiate is granted a cartouche upon completion of each trial, which is a sort of amulet inscribed with a magical enchantment, with the goal, obviously, being to earn all 5. A vizier is given a single cartouche upon becoming a vizier, to show their mastery over a single aspect of worthiness. Anyway, each crop usually loses a few members in each trial, such that by the Trial of Zeal, only a handful remain. In the Trial of Zeal, that handful is reduced to only 1. That one worthy initiate is granted a glorified death, being sacrificed by the gods, with the promise that they will arise again to live eternally when the God-Pharaoh one day returns. And that brings me to my final and most important point. Everyone on Amonkhet, gods included, worship and revere a divine being that they refer to as the God-Pharaoh. It is said that he created Amonkhet and Naktamun, blessed them with the gods and the protection of the Hekma, and then vanished. He will, however, return one day when the second sun reaches the center of his massive horn monument. It is then that the Hours would begin, a series of 4 prophesized events, starting with the Hour of Revelation, then moving through the Hour of Glory, the Hour of Promise, and lastly, the Hour of Eternity. It is then that the God-Pharaoh would take his place on his throne and provide all who have been found worthy a place in an eternal afterlife. Thank you so much for watching this video. Say hi to my cat who doesn't want to stop interrupting me while I'm trying to record this. Huh? Yeah, anyway. I've been a little disheartened recently, what with the Walking Dead Secret Lair debacle, which, if you're unfamiliar with the Secret Lair or why there's so much controversy around it, you should look it up. Wizards of the Coast is acting a little skeezy right now. Anyway, I wanted to get this video up in a timely fashion still. I had a few audio issues while working on this, so please let me know if anything sounds funky. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, and all the other things I'm supposed to ask you to do. See you next time.